Hello, this is Mr. Vaughn with video lesson 4.6 and 4.8. We're skipping 4.7. We're going to talk about that more in class. This lesson, or these lessons, this video is going to cover multiplying and dividing fractions with negatives. Your reference pages are 312 and 328 if you would like to check on there and get some more information. Let's see. So here we go. Let's dive right in. Multiplying and dividing fractions. Rules are the same as with the whole number. So you remember, just a quick review. If you have a negative number times a negative number, the answer is going to be positive, right? Negative times a positive is going to be negative. And then the rules are the same for dividing. Dividing two negatives equal positive, and if the signs are different, it's going to be negative. If the signs are the same, it's going to be positive. That's the best way to remember it. All right, and so this will combine what you learned back in 6th grade with multiplying fractions. And I meant to erase this, but that's okay. I'll just write over the top of it. So before we dive into this, you'll see, like I looked at where I wrote my negative signs, and that negative sign there is kind of in the middle of a fraction. This negative sign here is kind of on the numerator. Where does it go and does it matter? Doesn't really matter. It should really go here, like next to the bar, if you can. You'll see it written that way. But it's the same thing. This equals 1. That's a negative 1/3. If you divided 1 by 3 and got 0.333 and then made it negative, or you divided negative 1 by 3 and got negative 0.33, they're the same. So it doesn't really matter. What you don't want to end up doing is when you're multiplying fractions, since you have to multiply straight across, you want to move like this negative sign either to the top or the bottom. You're going to end up with the same answer whether you put it on the top or the bottom, but let it go like that. If you had a problem, this is not the problem we're dealing with, where it's written like that, which I don't know if you would ever see that, but turn that to a positive, because it's a negative divided by a negative before you do any operations with it. Alright, so just a little side thing about placement of the negative sign. So over here we have negative 1/3 times a negative 3/7. You can deal with the signs first, or you can deal with the numbers first, then come back to the signs. Doesn't matter. I like to take care of the signs, or the numbers first. So 1 times 3 is 3, and negative times negative is a positive. Multiply straight across. 7 times 3 is 21. You simplify that down to 1/7. That's all there is to it. Okay, just like with whole numbers and negative signs. Complex fractions we hit, I think it was in chapter 1 of the 7th grade material. It just means a fraction over a fraction, and this fraction bar means division. So this would be 3/4 divided by 1/2. So you'll see it written like this, it means divide, or you'll see it written like we have down here. Obviously that means division because there's a division sign there. So just an example of what a complex fraction should look like. This is not the problem we're working right here. So if you have, so this is division. So we do the same thing we did in 6th grade, keep, change, and flip. We're going to keep that fraction the same, change the division sign to multiplication, and flip this one and bring the signs along. You can keep the parentheses there to keep everything clean. We should be calling this multiplying by the reciprocal instead of keep, change, flip, because we are multiplying by the reciprocal of negative 2/3, which is negative 3/2. Alright, so now you can take the negative sign just with the whole fraction and say, oh, a negative times a negative equals a positive, or you can think of it as negative 5 times negative 3 is going to get you positive 15. So you end up with the same answer. 6 times 2 is 12, and then that's going to be 1 and 3/12 equals 1 and 1/4. Let me double check, make sure I got that right. I sure did. And so that's it. Remember, you can drop the plus the positive sign on that too. Mixed numbers, treated the same as in 6th grade. You got to convert them to improper fractions, whether you're multiplying or dividing them. So, and the negative or positive sign just comes along for the ride. Alright, got an announcement interrupting my video lesson. How dare they? 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, and there's a 3. We're going to keep the division sign the same until we get everything squared away. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Keep that. Don't forget to bring the negative sign with it. People always do that. They'll just forget it and changes the whole thing. So now we can multiply that by the reciprocal, or keep, change, and flip. Oops. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I wrote too fast. Okay. 10 over 3 times negative 2 over 5. Alright, so you could cross divide this. 2 and 3 there's nothing to do with, but 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 10 twice. Make it a little bit easier. So again, you can deal with the negatives and just say, oh, negative times a negative is going to be a positive, or you can think of it as negative 2 times negative 2 is what I'm talking. So that's a 4. Bottom's the same. Don't do the negative sign on the bottom and the top. I'm just realizing that might be an issue. 3 over 4, or 4 over 3 is improper, so we turn that into that. Okay? So this chapter's mainly, all the chapter, with the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions is all just combining what you learned with negatives and whole numbers. This, in chapter 1, in 7th grade stuff, and what you learned with fractions before. Alright, hope you enjoyed that, and I will talk to you later.